Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the privacy and the security editions. These are recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you are wondering if we are streaming live, you can head on over to SwitchedToLinux.com/live. And that is going to tell you if there is a live stream and all of the places where you can catch it. So if you want to catch it somewhere other than YouTube, you can find it all over there. We co-stream the same stream to 5 different places as of now, and more if we can later. Let's go ahead and get on into this. First on privacy, Lastpass is about to enter the Metaverse. That's all we need. We have the Metaverse, of course, and of course this is Zuckerberg's sorry excuse of nonsense. And basically, he's trying to get everybody into here, and somebody needs to manage all these passwords in this cool VR setting so LastPass is like, we're going to do this. We're going to go ahead. We're going to create a system. And inside of LastPass, we're going to develop our platform here. And with our platform being developed, you can now access all your passwords and things from inside of the metaverse. And it makes me wonder, I mean, do you like have this cool thing that all opens up that somebody else can see your passwords? Or, I mean, is this some big active, it's like a giant computer terminal? You're just like, in sheer mental illness to anybody not realizing what you're doing. You're just sitting here going into the air, and people are like, these people are nuts. Kind of like people with Bluetooth, right? I mean, you put on these little Bluetooth things and you walk around and you talk and people don't see the Bluetooth thing. I call this thing here is actually my symptoms for closet schizophrenia. I can overhear talking to myself and I make it clear that I got this thing in the ear and people think I'm talking on the phone, but I'm just talking to the voices in my head. Closet schizophrenia. Well, this is closet, Tourette syndrome or something. But LastPass is going into the metaverse, and of course this is in the privacy because I would not recommend using LastPass or any of the other big commercial proprietary systems. Of course, these are constant targets for hackers and breachers and guys like that to try and bust on into. All right. Moving on to some more relevant news. So, of course, here in the States, we have this as well. Australia has exemptions for political parties with the privacy rules. So there's all these deep privacy rules. Companies have to follow all these privacy rules. But then what happens is there's exemptions for political parties because, political parties are never abusive and they never break the rules and they're always the most secure in the world. And so all of the laws that govern your privacy don't apply to them. Well, Australia right now is looking to scrap the exemptions for political parties because of these high profile data breaches they keep on having. And yeah, I got news for you. Certain parties in the United States are ripe with abusing data. I mean, they will use any form of data and anything that they can to completely deplatform and destroy their opponents while claiming it's the other party will do the same thing and never does because they don't really care. And so with Australia, we're starting to see this push to get away of this and say, maybe there shouldn't be any exemptions and all. And I agree. I don't want these political candidates to have my information. I don't you want me to regularly vote in every single election, stop collecting data and sharing it with all these political parties. Because on the other hand, a friend of mine is high level in the Mastriano campaign, and he comes in and he can show me on his phone app all of the information about all of the people on his phone inside the jurisdiction. Now, the good news about it is everybody's assigned to the jurisdiction and you cannot access any data for anybody outside of your jurisdiction. So while the app itself has access to everybody's data, only the person assigned to that particular area has access to it. But the amount of data they have is quite shocking. And it is problematic, but getting a chance to see what these political campaigns have in their phone apps, these are all in phone apps that are accessible, and like, oh, this is cool, look at this. I can pull this up and see how many people are in the house, what their political affiliations are, and all this kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, that's terrifying to me. Don't show me that again. But please show me that again so I actually understand it. But I've actually seen this. And so these are some of those things to keep in mind that These political candidates have a lot more data than companies have because, well, these are a political party, so they need to be exempt. No exemptions. No exemptions. I want to have a master global opt-out, and if any company has any data on me that is not 100% required to provide the exact service, it should be such a violation that that company risks bankruptcy if they are involved in widespread abuse of data. And so at least Australia is starting to move in the right direction, so maybe this will bleed over into places like United States as well, and my data will not be on Mastriano's campaign information. Although I'd rather be it on that campaign information than on Shapiro's campaign information. I got news for you guys. I mean, I'm a Pennsylvanian. I'm registered there. I'm over on the ESCA, and I can't tell you right now, is California worse or is Pennsylvania worse? You do realize in Pennsylvania, our election right now for Senate coming up is between Dr. Oz and a man with literal brain damage. I can't vote for either one of them. I could vote for Mastriano, and I will, and not the other guy. But Senate, I think I'm going to write Satan in. He'll do less damage. Oz and a man with brain damage. How wonderful. All right. Google is serious about the giant video chat booths. It starts real-world testing. This is terrifying. So they are trying these out in WeWork and Salesforce and a few more places, probably the WorkShare spaces. I think that might be WeWork, but there's businesses that are basically you can come in and buy an hour or two of spot to sit, get good broadband internet, teleconferencing, and stuff like that. I imagine that those groups, the share space organizations will probably get these as well. But it's basically these giant video chat booths, and these things are terrifying. Look at this thing. This thing is like the NSA on steroids. So you're sitting in here. It's got all these cameras, all these microphones. Here's what they all are. Look at this. We have Pod 1, IR spotlights, IR projectors, tracking cameras, color cameras, stereo cameras, more IR projectors, tracking cameras, loudspeakers, color cameras, stereo cameras, espresso pods, more IR cameras, a whole bake of microphones down here. This is terrifying. I don't want to stand in front of this thing while it's connected to some big corporate data whore. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. And so here's the rendering. Here's the photo. Oh, look at how amazing this is. No, thank you. I just don't want to be somewhere where this thing happens to be. This thing looks like a privacy nightmare. And here's the guy subjecting himself to the nonsense. Good. Why are you sitting in that chair, my friend? Get out. Run in terror. Run in terror. This thing is the telly screen from 1984 on absolute steroids. This was like telly screen meets HAL 9000. I don't know. All right. So onto our feature story in privacy. Is Android quietly undermining your VPN service? So this actually came from a Malvad audit, and Malvad, I need to look into possibly getting some affiliates for Malvad to replace ExpressVPN. They do seem to be one of the best ones right now. So they did a security audit across their apps, and they found that the Android app was leaking data. And so they went ahead and reached out to Google about it, and Google's like, oh, that's not a bug, that's a feature. So they identified the quirk in a recent security audit, reporting that data leakage also occurred when block connections without VPN or VPN lockdown and or always-on VPN options are enabled. So block connections without VPN is supposed to, as you guess, block connections without VPN. Well, the data is exposed during the connectivity checks includes people's real IP address, DNS lookups, HTTPS and NTP traffic. The leak does not appear to be a malfunction. In response to questions from the provider, Google explained that both of the features work as intended. See, that's not a bug, that's a feature. Android leaks traffic when performing its connectivity check, and neither VPN service nor services nor you can prevent it. And so basically, even if you're connecting to a VPN with always on, you have to understand when you first connect to any given Wi-Fi network, it's going to ping data first. That's bad. The best solve for this would be to figure out where it's trying to ping to, have a custom host file on your Android device, which you can do on Lineage, maybe some other platforms, but at least on Lineage. And then from there, you can get the chance to block that. That might be your only fix for it, but I haven't seen how this is working. Just be aware that when you have VPN and you're setting it to always on VPN, understand that it's going to do some ping checks first. And so they're going to figure out who is on that network first before the VPN goes. That is kind of a problematic. So they're calling this out. And they're like, well, there's no information that can de-anonymize you. It's just your IP address and DNS lookups and all sorts of other stuff. Like, yeah, that's all you need to identify somebody in many instances, especially on a cell phone where that IP address can be tied back to your one individual device very, very easily. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have affiliates. Today we are highlighting A2 Hosting. I've used A2 Hosting to host several client websites over the years. They have great American-based service, and the servers do work very well. You can get simple startup for $3 a month. You can get managed VPS for $40 a month, dedicated servers $105 a month, all pretty good rates. They have free SSLs and a bunch of other fun features there as well. tlm.li/A2H. So if you'd like to jump on over there and get some A2 hosting, go ahead and do that. With that, guys, let's move on over into security. And first up in security, Security Awareness Campaign highlights things your bank will never say. So if you're getting a message purporting to come from your bank, there are a number of things, and there's actually a whole website tied to this. It is called banksneveraskthat.com, and Malwarebytes Labs blog post is talking about this and expanding on some of these points. And so they are going to take a trip to Scam City. Look at that. Scam! Bye-bye money. You fell for a payment app scam. Ha-ha. Press the space bar to continue. No! Don't do it. Don't do it. So how to dodge the fakers and the phishers. Here's basic things. And this is all basic stuff. But I understand this. A lot of people right now do not understand some of the basic things about computers, which is funny because they tell us this is the most computer illiterate generation ever. You could have fooled me. I think this is the most computer illiterate generation ever because we just do whatever the screen says and we don't even think about, is this a phishing scam or not? And some of these phishing scams, they look pretty legit. I mean, I get a lot of phishing scams in my email and that looks pretty legit, man. If I actually had an account with that company, I might actually fall for that. You won't be asked for PIN numbers, secret passwords, online banking logins by a legitimate bank employee. Phone by phone will never ask you for any kind of authentication code either. I actually find this maybe not necessarily true because if you get a legitimate scam on your card and your bank calls you, they're going to ask you, can you verify your account for us? No, don't do it. Do not do it. If you think it's legit, say, thank you, I will call you back. And you hang up the phone, you look at your banking number or the number on the back of your card, and you call that number, and then you go through the verification. I told the story before, it's worth telling here. Somebody did try and steal like $9,000 from my debit card once, a bank account, and the bank stopped it, of course. Like, yeah, this is nonsense. And so they call me on the phone, and they're like, well, this is your bank, and we just want to verify, is this you that made this account or not? And I said, well, let me call you back. They said, okay, hang up the phone, look at the card, called back, and lo and behold, it was a legitimate call. I called back in. I explained what was going on to the customer service. They said, oh, yes, we did just call you. And at that point in time, I verified the account information. You verify when you are calling the known number, not when the unknown number calls you. They're not going to give you bogus refunds, non-existent problems. Treat email attachments with skepticism. I've had a few cases where I was expecting a banker to send me an email attachment. We had a phone conversation. She sent it while I was on the phone. I verified what it was, opened it up. That was okay. But if your bank randomly out of the blues emails you a PDF, do not open it unless you're running like, Tails or Unix or something like that. Let's see. Treat email attachment with skepticism. Very rarely scammers will claim that a bank site is being updated or replaced and moved to a new one. So if you get an email telling you to go to this new bank site instead, don't go for that. Go back right to where you were, or if in doubt, go ahead and call your bank. If you're talking to your bank's customer support on social media, make sure the account you're talking to is the one you started with. Scammers create fake bank profiles and attempt to interject your conversation when real support channels are out of the office. Yes, don't do that. All right, next, there is a new framework that is hitting Windows, Linux, and Mac, and we're starting to see a lot more of this cross-platform malware because of all these wonderful new cross-platform tools. A lot of people, and those of us like us, are saying, hey, build that software for Linux, and sure, I'll use it. I might even pay some money for that if it's a good enough thing. The problem is this requires you to use frameworks that will allow you to take a given code and push it out to multiple different platforms utilizing a framework. Well, malware does the same thing. So this is one called Alchemist. It is based on the Golang framework. The Go programming language, or Golang, is a newer language for developers that can write a program and then compile it for different architectures with a click of a button. So the scammers are using this programming language to develop this nice little Alchemist, and they can then push us out to a variety of different things. They are fairly scant here on how you actually get it. We have a reference to the link files we talked about before, pro email attachments, link, any type of phishing scam to get you to open the thing up. And then what it's going to do is it's going to actually create a web server that is accessible from your machine. And if you're on Linux, it will actually open up an SSH tunnel, and then the people can get in there and control your machine utilizing that. It does also target Mac OS as well, but we just get a couple paragraphs against that. What can we do about it? Well, security software should be deployed in order to detect the payload, so we might have to start running antivirus for Linux at some point in time too, as a more regular thing. Self-signed certificate used should raise security alerts when found in HTTPS communications. Operating system software needs to be kept up to date. And then multi-factor authentication needs to be deployed for every internet-facing device or service. Yeah. All the normal stuff. And our final one is that Windows 11 goes all nanny. That's like offers automatic phishing protection. To me, as a web developer, this would make me want to go off myself. It makes me want to go jump out, just open up this van door right behind me and jump right off the mountain cliff. That's what this type of crap makes me do, but I use Linux, so this doesn't apply. However, this is sort of the thing that Firefox is trying to do, so I bypassed it in Firefox, and it still doesn't work, where you're trying to enter a password. This is not a secure form, and it gives you this annoying popover that hides your login buttons. It's like, dude, I know that. I'm on a development server. So there's actually a way in the About config in Firefox that you're allegedly supposed to turn that off. I have turned it off. It worked for one time, and now it doesn't work again. And so I need to look into that a little bit further, because I find it really annoying when I know I'm working with non-HTTPS connections because I'm running on a development server. I don't need this stupid thing popping over and telling me you're logging into a non-secure site. No kidding. All right. But with Windows 11, what they are trying to do now is they're going to block all this type of stuff for you by default, which means if you're a web developer and you need to rely on development servers that do not have SSLs, good luck. I don't even know how to get around this one, but I'll have to think about it. Maybe I'll have to get myself a Windows 11 computer and see if I can't work around it. So here's what they're going to do. Let's see. Usually carried out by email, request for login details, also arrive over SMS. New protections don't need much away of setup or configuration. The idea is they just work when required. It's still important to be aware of how they work and keep you safe. Yeah, that's right. Windows 11 is going to keep you all safe by becoming a nanny. And when you know what you're doing, then Windows 11 is going to be like, no, bro. No, bro. So, it's where is it? Okay. You might get an email that looks like it's from your credit card company, asks for changes to be made to your account. It would redirect you to a scam website mocked up to look authentic. Once you innocently log in with your normal details, they have their hands, or you might get emails. Okay, where is it? Not that. Okay, I think it's down here. All right. So one way it keeps phishing attack, one way it keeps you safe from phishing attacks is to keep your computer software from the operating system, your web browser up to date. Of course, this is, they're trying to push everything on us all the time. And I wouldn't have a problem with this if they stopped doing feature upgrades at the same time. Like, stop giving me new features. Want to patch security? Fine. Stop changing my software. Okay, so here's the advanced phishing protection now available in Windows 11. All right, it works in the background. Whenever you enter a password into any application or website, Windows will check whether or not it's a secure connection to a trusted place on the web receiving information. If not, your username and password data have been sent somewhere unknown and potentially untrustworthy. You'll see a message on screen advising you to change your password to something different. The idea is you'll be able to modify your login credentials before anyone has a chance to exploit them. Okay, let's review. If you're not logging into a place that is secure and known. Secure? Okay. Known? Define known. Is this not the approved websites? Any application will check whether or not there's a secure connection to a trusted place. Well, if I am running a development server, guess what? There's not going to be a secured connection to a trusted place. That's the whole point of development server. But nobody knows how to get into that development server except I do. But I'm getting in there to test the things out. And then, of course, in good protocol, you change your passwords on deployment. But at the same time, I have a good system. Windows is going to literally block me from doing my job. They'll be advising you constantly to change your passwords. Like, shut up. That's not all. If that wasn't enough, new advanced phishing protection built into Windows will also keep an eye on passwords you use for programs or websites and warn you if any of them match the password you're using to sign into Windows. So Windows is now going to keep track of all your passwords for you. Keeping each of your passwords separate and unique is important for keeping your account safe. So Microsoft will now log all that stuff for you as well. You might already know you can also ditch the password for your Microsoft account. And if you're a complete blithering idiot, you might actually do that. Look at that. So there you go. Microsoft gets all nanny state on us and decides that you do not have the ability. But again, previous statements, yes, our modern computer users are incompetent buffoons. So maybe this is a decent thing. But I hope we have a way to turn this crap off for those of us developers who have to sign into non-secure, non-known or trusted sites in order to, do our job. So we're not editing live websites, things like that. But anyway, let me know how you like that one. And if you want to help support the channel, we do have a Subscribe Star page, subscribestar.com/switchedtolinux. That will get you the ability to jump in with our supporters, streams, and some other features as well. With that, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Thank you for watching this video from SwitchedToLinux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.